A lot of times we're taught this is who you're supposed to be, this is who you should be, and this is who you need to be, and it's for the approval of other people in our family. And when none of that fits, it's just like you can either be conformed to an image that's not really you, or you can just start unmasking and disrobing and saying, none of this just fits me. We can be really, really lazy and not want to do work. We say we want change and we say we want to be better, but it's not going to happen if you're lazy with yourself, just really unlearning and relearning. And that lack of learning and relearning shows up in our relationships, it shows up in our work, it shows up in our career. So it's easy to say you want something, but the proof of what you desire is what you pursue. If you're not pursuing change first, starting within yourself, you don't really want what you say you do. It's just lip service. 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 It's just lip service.
Welcome to Wow Black, a seriously opinionated podcast bringing you the real and raw on anything happening while Black. If Black culture's there, we're there. If you're pissed or empowered, then let's talk about it. Ride with us on this all Black everything.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Wow Black once again with another amazing episode and another dope guest. It's always wonderful when we get to invite someone who has a vast set of knowledge that can impart upon each of you and you grab something from it. But before I get into all that, I want to thank everybody who has been supporting the Wow Black podcast for the many, many, many months and many, many episodes that we have dropped. We appreciate it. We love y'all. Go ahead and share as much as possible. Send us your feedback. We listen to all of it. And we try our best to ensure that we give y'all a dope episode every single time. So today's guest is Leticia Desuze. And Leticia is an Atlanta-based business coach and the CEO of Elite Wealth Enterprises, LLC. She provides business coaching to attorneys and entrepreneurs with a particular interest in helping women of color who want to break the seven-figure barrier. Leticia blends her expertise in mindset and strategy to create customized solutions to help her clients see massive shifts in life and business. In her spare time, Leticia enjoys traveling, experiencing new foods, and the ocean. Well, welcome to Wild Black.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to be here.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. So you want to tell our listeners anything additional about, the wonderful world of Leticia?
Real quick, do you curse? Just want to make sure.
I cussed about 5 times before you got here.
Listen, I came in a little late.
Came in
sorry.
hot, like shit.
Okay. It felt real professional for a second. So before I jumped in and did what we do,
I'm
I had
a Libra,
to make sure.
so I can go to extremes and I balance right in the middle.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Cardi B is my birthday twin.
You curse.
It's honor of Cardi B today. That's what's up.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? We got this thing called Wild Black shit, and we're going to expose you to it today. Matter of fact, I'm going to hit you with the first question.
Yeah, because I ain't never near ready.
The second question, and then the third question is our signature question that we ask every single guest. All right? First two going to be random. You ready?
Listen, we shall soon see.
Let's go.
We will.
Let's go. All right. So many good things come in pairs, like Ashford and Simpson, Grandma's Couch and Plastic, Jay-Z and Beyonce, and Pumps in the Bump. So in that
everybody
spirit,
sang the song in their head.
Right.
And you saw Hammer.
I almost sang it. I was like,
right.
I do it though. So in the spirit, or in that spirit, please complete the following popular Black folks pairings.
Yeah, you might as well go and get your chuckle ready.
Right. All right. A big butt and a
smile.
Get them. Go ahead. One down.
Crown and a crowning.
I don't know. I am of Hispanic origin as well, so I don't know if I qualify 100%.
We
know this
right.
Come on,
right.
now.
It's a drink.
Everybody drinking outside underneath the shade tree, crowning.
It's a
Coke?
purple.
Okay.
It is.
See, look
There
at
it
You
is.
said a crown. You didn't say crown and Coke. A crown.
I said crown and.
Oh, I
But
thought you said
kinda-
a crown. Okay, crown and Coke.
All right. Fridays, fried fish and.
Well, in Chicago, it's spaghetti.
You from the Chi.
Now,
You certified.
what type of spaghetti? You know, they get real specific. What type of spaghetti?
Now, see.
This might be a Mississippi thing.
That might be that. I think
That's
that
what I'm
is
like.
a Mississippi thing.
What kind,
Meatless
yeah?
spaghetti. Just be the spaghetti with the sauce. Don't be no meat to it. Just
listen.
be regular spaghetti.
My
Hell
friend's
no.
mom used to make that. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I never understood it myself.
Yeah, it was it was terrible.
Tomato sauce
that one
and
is
spaghetti.
quite. But spaghetti, we knew
But
what
spaghetti,
it.
I
Yes,
had it.
Right,
yes. Casey and
JoJo.
yeah.
She looked at you like,
yeah, like wait a
I
minute.
love
What?
Casey. He's clean now, I heard.
I hope so. I hope he
No,
stays
for
that
real.
way.
Like I
That's
heard,
good.
I heard that he was clean and I love
Doing his
Casey.
thing. Greens and
Cornbread.
You knocking these out the damn
easy
park.
work. Liver, onions, and
It's got to be rice.
Rice is a good answer.
Well, what else goes with rice? Liver, onions, and
I'll go with rice. Gravy on top of all of it.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, you certified. Look, why most of these motherfuckers is about food, bro?
I'm hungry. I was hungry when I was doing it.
Liver, onions,
Hungry
and
right now.
gravy.
I almost stopped at Chick-fil-A on the way. I said,
Listen,
shit, I'm
bro.
already
Rice.
late. Let me get there.
I'm starving myself. All right, second question. Speaking of gravy.
That was 5. That was just one with 5
that was one
parts.
question with yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
you
She thought she
in
was
tune.
already
She thought
free.
yeah,
She thought it was
like-
over.
All right. Okay.
Speaking of gravy, on to question number 2. Just how do you make gravy from scratch? Because we don't use them damn packets.
Flour and water.
Is that your final answer?
The real answer is I don't make it. But a couple of times when I tried,
She tried the front on it.
a couple of times when I tried to make it, it was flour and water
Mm-hmm.
and some pepper or something.
You know, black folks always be pushing back, like, is this gravy made from home? Is it made from scratch? And most of us don't know how to do it. Flour and oil are the big ingredients.
Really?
You throw your onions and your seasoning and whatever else, but flour and oil is what
I don't even like
that's some
gravy.
Mississippi shit right
Hey,
there.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
never-
Mess with that.
I
Hey.
never saw that in our gravy in Chicago, but
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like gravy now.
It's
Yeah.
flour and oil. Typically, we'll cook some type of meat and we'll use the oil that's left in the pan
Oh.
to start making the
And
gravy.
make
Now,
that-
when you start adding large amounts of oil, now you start talking about like making a roof or a base for like gumbo or etouffee or something
Listen.
like that. Hey,
Yeah.
I eat.
See, you fucking
I
me up.
eat
'Cause I'm
too, but I
starving.
eat more than I cook. So call me when it's ready.
Right.
Run
I
me
like
that
I like
meal.
to
She
eat.
said
I don't
call me when it's
necessarily-
ready.
The
Yes.
cooking is cool. I can
Yeah.
pass on the cooking, but I like to eat. All right. Last final signature question. What do you love most about life while Black?
I love that life while Black and life while a Black woman is just full of mystique, surprises, unlearning, relearning. It's been painful, but it's also been equally blissful. So I just love evolving and constantly becoming and learning. And I can only speak from the frame of reference of being Black, but I just wouldn't be any other race like while going through this. Like Black people are really dope.
Mm-hmm.
Black women, especially.
I love black women.
Me too. I am
Love 'em.
one. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Love them. So I'll jump into the dope quote. Today's dope quote. Let me back up. The dope quote is always something that's kind of ground the thematic of the episode.
Okay.
And today's dope quote does the same thing,
Center
but
myself.
it's a slightly different take on it, right? Today's dope quote is actually 2 different Ethiopian proverbs that I kind of pulled together.
Okay.
And I think they lend themselves to our topic today. So the first one says, the fool speaks and the wise man listens. The second one says, he who learns teaches. The reason I pulled those is because when we start talking about coaching, specifically coaching in the Black community, I think there's a big opportunity for some of us who feel like we know what the hell we're talking about to shut up and listen. Just take a second, listen to someone who's done it before, someone with a different perspective, something that can add value to you. And then when you get that value added, you then in turn should turn around and teach those behind you who need that same value. So that's why I pull those together. But when you hear them, what comes to your mind? What do you think, especially in relationship to coaching and bettering ourselves?
Can you repeat them?
I can. The fool speaks, the wise man listens, and then he who learns teaches.
Well, the fool speaks and the wise man listens. I know for me, from a coaching standpoint, probably 75 to 80% of what I do is listening. And coaching is really mastering the art of listening to people, helping them feel felt.
Right. I like that feel felt. I
Right.
like that.
Feel felt, be heard, and really uncovering what it is that they actually need and holding a safe space for them to give you that. You can't build trust capital with people without listening to them.
Trust capital.
Right.
Like
You can't do it. So people really need a safe space. And coaching is really about creating that through listening. So even though I talk a lot, as a coach, I listen more than I do anything.
Gotcha. How do you encourage people? You know, I'm not going to go there yet. Brother, you ready to get to the interview?
It was you forgot the second part of the quote.
Shit, I'm sorry.
Right.
Teaches.
My bad.
Right.
Get me right. Go ahead.
What was it?
He who learns teaches.
Exactly. I think that's my purpose in life, is to learn and to teach.
Yeah.
And then actually, I probably have been most effective in teaching the things that I needed to learn the most, because, faith comes by hearing.
Right.
And I'm constantly hearing the thing that I'm teaching, and then it becomes more active in me. So definitely everything that I absorb, all of the knowledge that I absorb, I pass it on. Like, I have a nickname that's Leticiapedia.
Leticiapedia.
Right, because I learn a lot about a lot. I just learn from life, and I apply all of that to the work that I do, and I teach it. Funny,
Leticiapedia. I used to tell my father and my brother, who are both no longer here, that they had this trait that I didn't have. They knew I'm relatively smart, right? My brother and my father were wicked smart, like genius smart. And I used to tell them all the time, all this shit that is useless unless you're on Jeopardy. Like they had this amazingly strong Jeopardy level of information. As much as I love them, it used to irritate the shit out of me, because they knew all this shit that I just didn't know for no reason.
Retaining all this random ass information.
How do you even know the gravitational pull around Mars? Like, why do you know that?
I had an uncle who is no longer with us, and we nicknamed him Ned, like the wino on Good Times, because that was his day job. And he would sit and watch Jeopardy, and he would know every answer. Like, I was doing research papers, he knew. He gave me all the answers, so I didn't need an encyclopedia. It was him.
Look, I want to ask the first question.
Sure.
Yeah.
What got you started in this space?
Well, it wasn't intentional, but I think it was divine.
All right.
I was the person who navigated a lot of different things, trying to figure out what my thing was.
Right.
And finally, I was in Chicago. I was selling real estate for about 9 years. And when I said, I'm really going to take this seriously, started my own brokerage, said, I'm about to do the damn thing. I did that, and I was like, I don't love this either. And I said, I want to be a coach. Probably within the next 6 months, this when the economic downturn came,
right,
and the real estate market crashed. And
so you had some good timing on that change.
Right. But I found an opportunity to be a coach with an organization, and the opportunity was only for 2 to 6 months. And I said, I'll just do this until the market bounces back. Right. And after that 6 months, I was the only person in my coaching cohort that they kept. And that took me into the world of coaching high-level executives who were in transition from losing their jobs. So that's what I mean. I said, I want to be a coach. 6 months later, I was traveling the nation, helping people who were let go from Fortune 500 companies.
Cool. So I know that there are a lot of us who have heard of life coaches, business coaches, but I'm willing to bet that a lot of us really don't truly understand what they do. So as compared to, say, a football coach or a basketball coach, what does a life coach, what does a business coach actually do? And who should be looking for them?
Well, so all coaching is life coaching, because every area of your life, is just going to intersect whatever it is that you're doing. People that come to me for business coaching, they come to me for specific business problems. Like it might be sales. They might want to grow their business. They might be having marketing challenges, some business challenge that they feel like is the real problem in their business. But usually when I dive into it and do a deep dive with them, it's a life problem that's masking itself as a business problem.
Like what's an example of that?
So, if you, like, just recently, I was telling him before you came in, I had a client, her sales were hovering at about, the last 3 months, about $4,000, $5,000 a month. And I said, what's your goal? She said, I would like to have consistent $20,000 months. So when I did a deep dive with her, I figured out it was a marketing issue, but the marketing issue was really a mindset issue. She was having a challenge, like just really putting herself out there, because there was a disconnect in her being worthy of the $20,000 months. So she was sabotaging the marketing efforts and not mashing the gas on what she needed to do.
So she was her own problem.
Correct. But if you think that the problem is in your business, and it's a mindset challenge,
you're not even looking at yourself.
You can't see your own thoughts.
Like
right, exactly. So you can't readily assess your own thoughts to really see what the challenge is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that's legit because we humans, we do rationalize things very
Correct,
well.
because the other part of that is we're attached to stories that allow us to rationalize and justify things. So she would point to any other reason of why the challenge was there, but she's about to hit 20,000 this month.
Oh, nice.
All right, she's about to hit it because I helped her identify what it was, take actions towards a new belief, and I'm holding her accountable to those actions.
I wonder if I can get a loan.
Right, so her mindset didn't change readily, but it's like taking new actions to create new results that will help you shift what you're thinking. She just would not have done that by herself.
So I don't know if this is even a fair question.
Sure.
Do you see that behavior more so in our community than others? And
absolutely.
Why do you think that is?
Because we have conditioning from our families.
Yeah.
We have conditioning as a culture. I want to tell you probably 95% of challenges that I deal with people I can track back to when they were children. Because until we're about 7 or so, our minds are just wide open to whatever programming and conditioning is in our environment. So the way we think about money, relationships, and everything that we're going to go out in the world and do is shaped. Right. But you don't recognize that. But when you're out in the world and when you're making decisions, that programming is still there. So some people, like a lot of times, people can't make a lot of money or make the money that they want to make because they need to heal their relationship with worthiness. In my environment, I was made to feel unworthy. I was made to feel rejected. So anything that puts me in a position to get what it is that I say that I want, if subconsciously I'm still dealing with unworthiness, I'm not going to push through.
How do people start to, like, I get it, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've been able to identify some of that in myself along the ways, right? When I find myself on the path to success, but then I create reasons to be lazy or I create reasons not to get something done, right? Procrastination and whatnot. How do people begin to identify that? And how do they know when they need help?
You know when you need help when you are stuck in cycles and patterns of behavior. When you consciously say, I want to do or be or have something different than you do, but there just seems no way, no matter how hard you try or how bad you say you wanted to get there.
So that person who's been telling their friends, their family, they've got this business plan in their head for the last 5 years, but nothing's come to fruition yet. That person needs to go get jumpstart.
You know what? Everybody needs a coach, honestly.
Amen to that.
Some people YouTube coaches or YouTube motivation, but the thing about motivation is motivation doesn't necessarily spur you to action.
Right.
Motivation makes you feel better. Coaching should help you be better because you have somebody that is your thought partner that is helping you along this journey and helping you and calling you on your bullshit when you are just not doing what it is that you set out to do. We all need that because for me, like, just I'll think about the guy that used to be my personal trainer. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just about to die. He was like, I'm certified. So you know what? If you die, I got you. To keep going. I'm like, no, I can't go any further. He's like, you absolutely can. And you're
Don't
going
worry,
to
I'll
flip
bring you
these
back to life. I
tires.
got you.
Correct. And so it was just like, and he was challenging me to flip these tires. And after I flipped the first one, he was like, now flip them all the way down like this football field. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, because what I think my stopping point is and what I think is it's a lot. And he's like, I'm looking at you and I can see your strength and I know you can go further. So because he created that trust with me, I trusted him beyond what I felt was my own stopping point and ability, and I did it. Right? So now I have a new belief about what possibilities are there and what limitations are. That was totally expanded for me because I did something different. But I would have stopped at my original point when I got exhausted, when I was like feeling nauseated. I was like, he's like, no, this is your mind tricking you. That this is as far as you can go. So we need people to help us get further faster.
Gotcha. So, and here's the trick. Now that you've done that, now that you move past that personal wall that you had with the help of a coach, when he or she is not at your side, do you think you can consistently get past that same wall?
So for me, anyway, I'm progressive. So because I'm reaching for the next thing, right, there's a new wall. Gotcha. And so your need for coaches and the need for the kinds of coaches that you need may change over time. But I wholeheartedly believe that your personal growth should precede any other kind of growth. And like I was telling him, I just don't let the gas, I'm always mashing the gas on my growth. So I just never get to the place where I'm comfortable and I'm saying I've grown all I can grow.
Is it fair to akin a personal trainer to a business or life coach? Is it fair to kind of look at the relationship in the same manner? And I'm trying to create the landscape where people can truly understand how best to utilize a business coach or a life coach. And I know they understand personal training.
So sure, I think that's a fair analogy because, personal trainers, they know the body. Business coaches sometimes know business. I know business, but I also know human behavior. So I can help people, on both ends. So if you come to me with the business problem, I will definitely look at the business problem, but I will definitely find you that is wrapped up in the business problem. So I think you have people that have different areas of expertise, and you have to find who you feel like aligns with your philosophy, how you work best. And, I'm not for everybody, and everybody is not for me.
Gotcha. I want to. You talk about success your way, and before I get into success your way, I think it's probably best to talk about our community at large.
Sure.
So, from your experience and all the work that you've done with our community, what is the one thing that you think collectively, holistically, that we need to do a better job of in order to begin to define success our way?
Well, we need to do a better job of really determining what our values are for real. Like really doing the inner work to determine what your values are and having success be built off your values. Because it's easy to look at what's popular, what's trending, and kind of build a superficial sense of success based on that. And a lot of people do that. They make a lot of money, they get a lot of notoriety, and it's empty. You see people do that and they commit suicide because it's empty, because it didn't really resonate with what their core values are, because they probably hadn't taken the time to discover what that is. So you need to have such a strong connection to yourself and build based on your values and stick to that. And those things need to be non-negotiable as you build whatever success is to you.
How would you describe the journey to discovering yourself or what your values really are?
Well, I can only speak about me. For me, a lot of that journey came through adversity. A lot of that journey came through places of hardship, dealing with domestic violence and overcoming that, being a single mom. Those things that make you take a step back and say, who am I really? How am I living? Is this how I want to live? There's got to be more. Like asking yourself those hard questions and sitting with yourself until you come up with some solid answers. For me, I had to go. I couldn't do it by myself. God was my coach. I had to be like, wait a minute, there's got to be more to my life than this. There were so many times during my journey where I felt empty, or I felt like I had more pain than a sense of purpose. But that pain is now my platform, and it's how I help other people because I can readily identify it. So I had to do a lot of inner work, a whole lot of inner work, and really dissecting and disrobing just a lot of the layers. This is because here's the other thing. A lot of times we're taught this is who you're supposed to be, this is who you should be, and this is who you need to be, and it's for the approval of other people in our family.
Right.
And when none of that fits, it's just like you can either be conformed to an image that's not really you, or you can just go and just start unmasking and disrobing and saying none of this just fits me.
Yeah, my dad has a saying: adversity introduces one to himself.
Yeah, I met myself all the. You know how many times I met myself?
Right.
Damn, it's
And
you again.
I agree with that. Yep.
Exactly.
And it's almost like you should embrace that adversity.
Sounds like the movie Us. Did y'all ever see that? That's what it sounds like to me. The movie Us.
Yeah. So that's just something we can be really, really lazy and not want to do work. We say we want change and we say we want to be better, but it's not going to happen if you're lazy with yourself, just really unlearning and relearning.
Yeah.
And that lack of learning and relearning shows up in our relationships, it shows up in our work, it shows up in our career. So it's easy to say you want something, but the proof of what you desire is what you pursue. If you're not pursuing change first, starting within yourself, you don't really want what you say you do. It's just lip service.
So you're in love with saying it out loud, but not necessarily doing
exactly.
it. Right, so check this out. I know growing up, and maybe as adults, we all heard this, right? At some point, a mother, a father, a grandmother, someone said, I want to smack some sense into you, right? At some point, that threat has been levied on most of us. What is the sense you want to smack into us? And please don't hit me.
See, don't worry, Nick. See, I moved away from a lot of my dysfunctional behaviors, so I don't want.
What's the sense you want to metaphorically smack into us then?
I would really like for people to just give a lot of thought to how they're showing up in life every day, because nothing is ever about you or only affects you. So how you're showing up in life is going to affect your children. It's going to affect your significant other. It's going to affect so many other people. And so we always speak about legacy when people die, but what about your living legacy?
Yeah.
How are people affected by you now while you are alive? And if it's not in a way that you're proud of, then use the energy and the time and the resources that you have to change that.
I like that. Okay, so back to success a little bit. You talk about success your way, defying other people's definition of success. Break that down a little bit. And I guess I'll add context, right? When I think about most of the time when I've started a business or when I've been around people who have started businesses, you're always told it's going to be super hard, so get ready. And I think a lot of us internalize that super hard. And then when it's maybe easier, we make it hard, right? So I think we, like to your point earlier, we kind of get in the way of success. And I don't think we truly embrace success our way. We try to go after success the way someone else said. So what is success our way? And how do we create that?
Okay, so you made me think about something that I want to say. And that is...
Was my question that bad?
No,
I made her think about smack.
But when you say success your way, one of the things that I have learned is, like this whole starting from the bottom, now we're here, this toil and struggle, team no sleep, you got to grind it out.
Right.
That's not success my way.
Right.
So you're showing up healthy, sacrificing your relationships and everything, and to get this definition of success that may not even fit you.
Yeah.
And everything just doesn't have to be so hard. But because we're conditioned and we've had such hardships as a people, we just embrace that. And so hard work and things being really hard is almost like a badge of honor.
True.
Right.
So things that come easy. This was a huge mindset thing for me. My coaches were like, so because something is easy for you, you're having a problem with it because you've been conditioned that it's supposed to be hard. So you're going to throw all kind of roadblocks and obstacles in your path just so you get this feeling of it being hard. Because when things came so easily and so quickly for me, I was like, it almost feels unethical. It just couldn't be this easy. And they're like, no, it can be. It can be. Everybody that has conditioned you and your family and everything that you've been around that is supposed to be so hard, that is not the way that it has to be.
And most of them haven't done it.
Correct. So
and they can't do it like you do it.
Correct. So when things would come easily for me, it made me feel alone. It made me feel like I didn't fit because I didn't. Right? Because it was just like, well, who?
But in that case, you don't want to fit.
But it was just like,
it's
well,
supposed to be hard.
who are you?
This?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's supposed to be hard. Everybody around you is struggling with this same thing and you figure something out and it's easy for you. But I've always heard like you can't get broke enough to make a broke person rich or you can't get sick enough to make a sick person well. So I don't have to recreate your experience, right? I'm okay with that now. But forever and ever, I was like, this is so hard. Because I was programmed that it was supposed to be.
Yeah, my father. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just about to say. So success my way. I'm not interested in hard. I'm not interested in toiling and struggling. I'm not interested in just. Oh man, you start at the bottom and now you're here and you got to work your way incrementally. You can quantum leap your way to certain things.
We should not
with your
be
mindset.
interested in that.
No, but I'm saying it's a very prevalent mindset that we accept.
We're told that so many times.
Correct.
Yeah.
So when I see people like, let's grind it out and team no sleep, I'm automatically tired. I'm sleep. I know.
Right. And it do feel like a badge of honor, too.
Like,
like when you grinding
in the
it out.
morning.
Seriously, like
but
people are really
better
known.
to actually go to sleep and think about some shit and then wake up.
But
like,
it almost
shit,
feels like you're cheating to people. So people are known like, you know what, and they work so hard.
Right.
I know a lot of people that work hard and they never have anything that they wanted to show for it. So how do we change that? Working hard or harder is obviously not the answer by itself.
Yeah, I know so many people who use that I'm busy and I work hard as that badge.
Right. Because being busy or working or grinding, it creates activity, but it's not necessarily productive or effective.
Right. The measure should be, well, what did you get done?
Correct.
Yeah. What value did you produce?
Right,
How did you move the needle forward towards what you said that you wanted to do or what you set out for? Because with all the busyness and everything that we're doing, we need to be measuring. If you're not getting closer to what you say you want, then you need to go back. So success, my way, is definitely not in anything that requires just like toiling and struggling. I'm not interested.
Yeah. My father told me a couple of times, and I'm probably going to mess it up, but it was basically that we talk about, I'm trying to think how did he put it? If it wasn't hard, everyone would have it. And then he came back and said that the reality was if everyone was driven and less lazy, everyone would have it. That was basically the way he put it. I didn't say it nearly as well, but it's something that stuck with me and kind of helped me to do things that along the way that people expected that I shouldn't be able to do. And honestly, some of the times I didn't believe that I could do it until I started doing it.
But see, that's what I was going to say. So what you said, if people believe that they could have it, that would be different. If people have the frame of mind, sometimes people don't pursue things because it's not even possible, just like in their frame of reference. It's not even, it's so far outside of their frame of reference that I'm not pursuing this because this is not something that's possible.
I can do anything. That is my motto today.
You know what else? See, you triggered me. I was telling him about triggers, right? You triggered me. Another.
It's a good trigger, right?
It's well, it depends.
Uh-oh.
No, it's a good thing. The other thing that I see a lot when I'm working with people of color, because they're not always Black, sometimes they're brown.
Right.
Is we tend to look at things as expenses versus being an investment.
Right.
Coaching, for example, is an investment. Health insurance is an investment in a better life. So we are like, well, how much is it going to cost? That's the first question. Or this is too expensive. What's the frame of reference for expensive?
Because D.L. Hughley said being broke is the most expensive thing out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just have to start looking at things in a different way.
Yeah.
And just thinking like my health insurance or gym membership or those things that help me have a better quality of life.
Right.
Those are investments in me. I'm my best investment. So I have a coach. My investment wasn't into him, it was into me.
Right.
Yeah. So we think expenses and how much is this going to cost you? What can you benefit? What's the ROI on you, your best investment? And so we just need to really be around people that provoke us to think about that in a different way.
So as opposed to what is this going to cost me? The
Correct.
question then becomes, what am I going to get from this?
And the other thing is something that we haven't been taught is you can always find the money. When I learned that lesson,
yep,
that's
a big lesson we need.
You can always find the money. I've had to do it twice, and they were like, the money is there. You can always find the money. But it was a mindset. It was like, make the decision first And then you will figure out the money. Not like magically thinking that something is going to happen. But here's what happens. You make a decision for something because you want something. You make a firm decision for it. You will be presented with an opportunity to get those resources. But what typically happens is you have to grow into this. So say, for example, if you need to pay $15,000 for something and you make the decision to do it and you can get $15,000 on a credit card, you say, now why would I go into debt for something like this? Why?
There was your resource right there.
But correct. But what is the rest of your debt for? It's for depreciating things. You're investing in something that could yield, $50,000 or something like that. So we just don't think that way. And so we miss making decisions and taking opportunities and risks to further us because it's going to require us to grow.
And I want to be really clear for the listeners. What we're saying here is not simply walk outside and the money's there. We are not simply saying that you don't have it because you're not doing it right. What we are saying is it turns into your prioritization and you're willing to think differently and act differently to find a different result. And that is how you put yourself in a position to create the money that you need.
And the realization that the options do exist. However, you will have to grow in order to exercise those options.
And you need people to help you see those options. And if you're looking to the people that are around you most of the time, they're probably not going to see those options because, like water seeks its own level. We're typically around people that we're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
So the people that have grown me were not people that were right in my inner circle.
Yeah.
They were people who were outside of everything that I was accustomed to being around. Exactly. And I was like, either you out of your mind or no, you just out of mind. So I'm coming over there because this is a higher level of thinking. And so it's going to require me to grow to see these results. So the people that were readily around me, it just wasn't their frame of reference. My great-grandfather, I never knew him. But there was a professor at the University of New Jersey who was doing research, and he sent us 40 pages of history. My great-grandfather was, in fact, an attorney, a prominent attorney in Chicago. He started a union for West Indian and Panamanian workers, and he amassed millions of dollars in land and resources. And it was stolen from him by the government, and they shut that down. But just the thought that just 3 generations back, there was, land and millions in my family that I don't see.
What that could be today.
I'm just like, I'm going to get that. I got to get that back. Exactly. So my mind.
Somebody owes me something. Let me go get it.
I'm just saying.
How you going to get it?
Correct. Like 3 generations back. Just only 3. My grandfather, my mother, my grandfather.
Not far away.
Exactly. And so to just have that history and have such a rich history and nothing in my family like that looks like that right now. That's what I mean about legacies. You're living legacy and what you're passing on. And so that whole wealth, that generational wealth, I think is super, super important. But it always 100. Takes a person to be awakened and feel a sense of responsibility to go and get that and to cause that to be restored. And so I feel that.
Think if you could figure out who took it way back then and look at what they've turned it into today. Right, to be able to recognize that their wealth was built off what they took from you and your family. Because I have a feeling that someplace in our lineage, that story is probably very common for all of us. Absolutely, Someone had something that was taken away from them that we, therefore, don't have and couldn't build upon today.
Exactly. But, just so many of our family legacies are not entrepreneurial. They're hard work. They're, survival. So to think that, okay, this is prominent Chicago businessman, entrepreneur, millions, that is so misaligned with what I see in my family right now, right? So I think we need to see more of that, and we need to be very intentional about creating that, having entrepreneurship and legacy conversations with our children. And it's just something that I don't, so even in my work as a business coach, it's not just the person that I'm coaching. It's like, what are we passing on to your children? What are we doing beyond you? So this is not, to me, just work that I chose. It's work that I'm called to do.
I love it. I think that creates a very easy segue into what I want to talk about next.
All right.
Which is entrepreneurship, right? And you, one of the cores that you live by is helping to move people from employee to entrepreneur, right? So what does it take to make that leap from employee to entrepreneur, to being able to start that wealth building? What type of mindset change? What type of things need to happen? And specifically, think about it like this. Think that you're talking to this young or older brother or sister who's had this idea in their head, say, for the last 2 or 3 years. What would you advise them to do just to get moving?
So have you ever, I'm sure you've heard it, you know how they say failure is not an option?
Mm-hmm.
Failure has to be an option.
Yep.
Because failure is how you get feedback.
Fail fast. Fail hard
And correct.
learn.
So we internalize failure and think that makes us a failure. But if you're not willing to fail, then you ultimately are not willing to succeed. So
Right.
failure has to be an option because you need feedback. And I would definitely say get as invested as you possibly can in your personal growth and in your mindset, because you're going to have the mental toughness of a warrior to really stick it through and to see it through.
Amen. I've been there before.
Correct.
Amen to that.
The other part is quit happens. You know how many times I've quit? I didn't stay quit, but you quit. You just is like, you know what? I'm just not built for this. But something on the inside of you just rises up again and say you're meant for more. But understanding that, quit happens. And what does the song say? I was just singing this again. Power is like, I never took a straight path nowhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
Life is full of twists. It's the same way with entrepreneurship. It's not a straight path. So the learning and the growth process is really about who you're becoming. It's not just the idea.
Right.
The other thing that I would say is you don't have to have it all figured out. What is the next step that you can take? If research is your next step, then research, and then you'll get the next step.
Right.
Most people don't start with the full plan, and if they do, the plan is going to change.
I was just going
the plan
to say it's
is
actually
going
more
to
beneficial
change.
to not, because you will
Correct.
end up
So
changing it.
yeah,
You
just make it as easy as you can. What's the next step?
Right.
Then once you take that step, what's the next step? Right? I was like, okay, I need a 15-page business plan. And I didn't get to page 2 before quit happens because I was overwhelmed. And I was when you are so far out in the future, it creates anxiety.
I tell people all the time that in all honesty, and I've created several businesses now, a business plan is one of the worst ideas. And
it really is.
It is, right? I get having a vision plan because vision is much broad.
Yep.
But a business plan truly isn't really needed until your business is running and you're looking for funding.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, unless you need somebody to run you some money,
right? And then
you
you
take it to the bank.
But
exactly.
by that point, you've worked out the kinks. You know where you're going.
Yeah. It's almost like you need to just start.
Yes.
Fuck a business plan. Just start. And then as you work throughout this idea,
the business plan is a living document.
Will fucking begin to form.
The other thing that I think is sometimes people separate business from life. And so people have a successful business and a horrible life. So the business needs to serve your life's vision. What is your life's vision?
Yes.
Right? Because otherwise you're just going to own a job.
Right.
That business is going to be your baby instead of it being a mule.
I like that.
Right. You ultimately want your business to be your mule and to serve you, not a baby where it's just, I know people that cannot detach from their businesses to have a life because they own a job. Exactly. So so truthfully, what is your life's vision? How are you going to use this business to create a life that you love? And that's personally, professionally, and financially, relationally. Like, what does your life vision look like? And the business is just one part of it because we're given to extremes.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about quitting. And the reason I bring that up is because we all have heard winners never quit. We've all been told, don't quit, keep going, right? Just give people permission to quit a little bit. Talk about that a little bit more, please.
Here's the thing. Everybody has a stopping point. And you have to be honest with yourself about what your stopping point is. That's why it's so helpful. If you're not willing to invest in a coach, who is somebody that will hold you accountable? Who is somebody that will call you on your BS and hold a space for you when you want to quit? Hold a space for you to go through whatever you need to go through emotionally and still remind you of there's a higher and better version of you that we're waiting to show up. You need that because otherwise you will get in your own head and quitting. You'll rationalize quitting. Like, life happened. A lot of stuff came, I'll get back to it when, and then what happens? Right. So it's okay to pause, to take a break if you quit. But if something is really, really in your heart,
you can't.
It's going to bother you. It's going to nag at you inside of you. I don't care what it is that you're doing. Like, my coach taught me this. He said, do you know that the word desire really means of the Father? I was like, So he was talking about the difference between desire and lust and want. Like, desire is unshakable. I don't care what you do and where you go and what you happen to create for yourself. That desire is like, hey, I'm still right here. And so people, we have these sayings and these quotes. People always say success leaves clues. But everybody's looking for the clues in what other people have done instead of looking in your own heart. A clue to your success is what's in your heart, what makes you come alive. What is that unshakable thing that, regardless of how absurd or how impossible it might seem, this thing is still, it's like in your heart. And so me wanting to help women of color break the 7-figure barrier,
Right.
I was like, you know what? I can find more noble causes or other things that I can do with myself. But I can remember last year saying, I create millionaires. That wasn't just something consciously that I said because it was something that I wanted to do. That was a desire that was in my heart. And so I'm going to take that desire as a clue to my success, is that that's a part of my path. That's what I mean. If I listen to what other people tell me, they'll be like, listen, right. No, I'm going to go. And that is a part of success for me, is creating $1 million businesses for women of color. We barely make the 6-figure.
Right.
We barely make it there. So creating 7-figure businesses, it's just something that I'm going to do.
I love it.
I've done it twice. So it's just, I want to do it 2 times, many times over.
I love that. What's the reaction you get from people when they hear that you want to create
the audacity
7-figure Black women, women of color businesses?
You know what? It's the reaction that I've, one of the things that actually stalled me a lot that I didn't realize, my grandmother, when I was younger, she was just like, you think you so fucking much? So it was that family thing of like, who do you think you are to want this? So it's not uncommon for people to have a reaction of sometimes disdain or sometimes, who do you think you are? You have to understand, when you say or do things that are outside of a person's frame of reference, they're going to have a reaction to it because it makes them uncomfortable.
Right.
And so now that I understand that, I can just be compassionate towards that person. I don't need their approval or their validation. We just operate in two very different places. So I'm not really concerned about people's reactions. I'm more interested in the people that's something in their heart that they want to pursue.
Right.
People always have a reaction, because most people don't think that something is possible.
Because they probably can't do it.
I mean, most people just, like we say, earning
they can't do it.
Earning 6 figures as an employee is like, okay, wow, you just made it. So to say that you're creating a 7-figure business, like what kind of barriers are you breaking as a woman, a woman of color? You're really breaking barriers, and especially most women don't break the 6-figure mark in business. African-American women are starting businesses, though, at just like an alarming rate.
Yeah.
But you know what happens with those businesses?
Anybody else right now.
They don't become as profitable. We don't hire. We don't scale those businesses. And so we need to be finishers in the world of starters. We're good on the starting end, but we need somebody to help us go the extra mile and scale and operate in technological excellence and in business excellence. We need those resources.
What's missing, and how come there are not more used to help create more finishers?
Because I'm one of a kind. No. You know what? Now here's the thing.
Real quick, yeah.
There are a ton of coaches, right? There are a ton of coaches. In my experience,
right,
I don't see a lot of us that have been investing in coaches.
Right.
That's a huge thing. And so that's a worthiness issue, correct? Like, you have to understand, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, you are your best investment. And so you've got DIYers, right? And that's fine. But if you want to skip to the front of the line, so to speak, and just get somebody, I will pay for somebody's expertise if it's going to help me shortcut my learning curve. That's just me, because I want to operate in what's the highest and best use of my time.
Right.
So if you can help me and I can cut out some of the things that I would otherwise need to, do or learn, then I'm going to invest in that and look at it as an investment in myself. So the reason why there are not more of me's is because the other thing, the person who referred me, she was just like, we need you. And I was like, right, y'all gonna have to pay for me. And so that becomes a different thing, because
you talking about the person who referred you to us?
To you, correct.
Eklund,
exactly.
Hey, Eklund, what's happening,
She's
man?
like, we need you. Right. She's like, we need you. And I was like, correct. And I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with women of color, and it's just like, well, tell me about your price. I told you the price. What else did you want to know? Right. And so you're just going to get grilled and you're going to go through all of these other things because it's consciously and inwardly how we feel about ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
So that in and of itself sometimes is a challenge, and it's a mindset.
Right.
It's a mindset challenge. So there's a lot of layers of that, but you have to understand that you are your best investment. If you're going to spend money on anything, spend it on yourself. Invest in yourself. Get the knowledge, get the resources. The other thing about coaching is people are like, what do I need a coach for? I'm not a cookie cutter coach. I customize coaching for people that I work with. So what I do with one person, like somebody cooking from scratch, even though I don't cook, I don't make gravy, just let's be clear. I customize what I do with people. So it's not a cookie cutter plan. Like I actually sit and listen and research and deep dive with them and customize plans for them. So that might be mindset, but it's always going to be an it's actionable strategies. And we're measuring that to help us get towards the goal.
Right.
So coaching is also an investment for me because it's an energetic exchange. So it's like you're investing your whole mind and soul into somebody's success and into their potential.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I want to, actually, before we jump into the next segment, I do want to, listeners, she mentioned Eklund. Eklund is an attorney here in Atlanta who is super dope, super vibrant, and has a whole lot to say.
And amazing.
Right? If you're interested in learning a little bit more about your rights and how to survive the police, go back and listen to episode 2. Eklund was actually our very first guest on Wild Black.
Eklund, you taking up my time on the podcast, just FYI.
But so talking, you began to talk about the investment in self, right? And you're so right. We will invest in other things, ideas, projects, and people so much faster than we invest in ourselves. So I want to start talking about what that investment looks like. So for people who are listening and considering, what does it cost to work with a coach?
That depends on what your goals are, and it depends on the kind of coaching that you want. So you have coaches that might focus on relationships, or you have coaches that might focus on your social media. Right. Coaching is a pretty word for what I do,
right?
But behind everything that I do, I'm a strategist. Okay, so gotcha. So for example, I work with people. I'm looking at them on TV. I'm looking at them in courtrooms. I'm looking at them in places that you would never see me. And so they're doing the work and they have all the outer success of what it is that you're doing. But behind the scenes, where the shit show is, I'm the strategist. Like, okay, here's what we need to do. Here's the move that we need to make to get this done. So most of my coaching clients are...
Oh, I know what that was.
Most of my coaching clients are higher level executives or entrepreneurs. And that's just because I coached at that level for so long.
Right.
And I need people who are ready to execute.
Gotcha.
But if you're somebody who needs a little bit, and everybody has a place where they're starting. If you're somebody that you're just starting and you need a little bit more hand-holding, you want to find a coach that works with you at your level. That might be a group program. That might be, and you're going to invest at least probably $3,000 to $5,000.
Gotcha.
You just really.
Which when if you're trying to grow your business significantly.
Yeah.
That's not even a marketing campaign.
That might be on the low end, right? It might be $3,000 to $5,000 that you're going, because you've got to think about it as an investment. So I used to work with people for 3 months, right?
Right.
I don't do that anymore. My coach helped me to see you're doing a disservice to people when sometimes it takes people 3 months just to kind of get their bearings, right? So I don't do that anymore, because the reason I did that is because I was trying to make it more affordable for people to be like, okay, let me dumb this down, not dumb it down, but let me bring this down, when actually coaching is a call for you to come up.
I would almost expect that would hurt business more than it would help, because in that time frame they're just getting used to what you can offer, and then
because it was like, you know what, let's see if we're a good fit, and let's just ease you into this.
Right.
But that's not my model anymore. I'm ready for people who are ready to mash the gas and be all in, because I'm going to be all in with you. So like I was telling him,
equally yoked in that,
correct. I have a coach, and so you learn and you grow, and I realize that to serve people at the highest and best level, we need to be working together longer than that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So right now, I guarantee you there's someone that's listening, and they're saying to themselves, I don't need someone who's going to call and remind me to get my checklist done.
Get my what done?
My checklist done. Right? I don't need someone who's going to call and ask me, did I make it to my meetings on time? So let's clear up some misconceptions.
Sure.
What does a coach not do? And what does a coach do?
So one of the misconceptions that people have is they think that a coach and a consultant do the same thing.
Okay.
If you are the kind of person that needs somebody to tell you what the answer is, you need a consultant. Because a coach is going to draw the answer out of you. A coach is going to unlock what it is that you say you want and help you on the path to get there while holding you accountable. A coach is not going to tell you what it is that you want.
Right.
They're going to help you get clear on what it is that you want. But sometimes because, like, how can I put this? We've been conditioned, and in our families, we didn't have options to choose.
Right.
We're not clear or in touch with ourselves enough to know what it is that we want. And so we like the consultant role where the coach is just telling you, here's what you need to do and go do this and call me when you do it. That's not really coaching. Now, if you want a consultant, that's fine. But coaching, you have to show up and get really clear on what it is that you want.
Gotcha.
And that person or persons or whatever that model is should help you create a roadmap to get there. And it's measurable. It's not just like, oh, did you feel better this week? Well, great. So we're being successful. We need to be able to measure whatever it is that you're doing. And if we didn't meet the goal, what did we miss? Right. Where might there be opportunities for growth? The other thing is that at the end of the day, it's about strategy to get you from point A to point B. Right. Realistically, you know that either you can't get there by yourself, or you want to get there further than you could get there by yourself. Or maybe you want to pivot and go in a different direction. I have people that have been incredibly successful in their businesses, and now they want to do something else and they feel trapped. My brand is this. This is all people know me for. How do I do something different, right? And so people come to me with a myriad of things. So that is really cool. You know what else people have to change for coaching?
What's that?
These things just come up. So, my stuff comes up randomly. The biggest thing that I would say, Eklund knows about this, is really changing your toleration point. So those are conversations that I have with people. Why are you tolerating this? Because we tolerate things because we feel like we can't have anything differently.
Right.
So to really have something different, you have to change your toleration point.
You're saying put up with less.
You have to change your toleration point. Like whatever exists in your life, my life right now is because we tolerate it, good or bad. We tolerate it.
Correct.
If you want something different, you can't just say it. You have to change your toleration point. Like this is just not going to do for me anymore. Yeah. And when you decide there's no other options, that is the mind frame you need to be. And then you have a coach to help you, because otherwise you're going to get frustrated because you're not really showing up to do what you said you want to do.
Right.
When you're ready to change your toleration point and decide, and we can tolerate a lot of things that are other than what we'd like them to be.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately.
So what we've heard today is that you're there to support people in their personal development and growth, redefining what success is and how they go about it. You're there to help people in their professional growth, to go from that employee mindset to the entrepreneur mindset. But we haven't talked about your role in the financial aspect of things. So how does what you do from a financial perspective weave in and fit with the rest of the narrative we painted around you today?
The financial perspective, numbers matter.
Right.
And just like so many other numbers that we don't like to look at, like blood pressure and cholesterol, a lot of times we are either willfully ignorant or just ignorant and uneducated about the numbers, and the numbers matter. In business, numbers matter.
Right.
So you need to know what your numbers are. You need to understand basic financial things, credit, business credit, profit and loss statements, and budgeting, like basics. And a lot of times people go and they have these great business ideas and they have no idea about anything financial. And so that means that you're going to be disempowered because you don't really know like what makes you profitable, how much your prices should be for you to be profitable. You don't really know. You don't know profit margin. You don't know
input costs.
Exactly. Right. So you're just busy doing something and you're not measuring because you don't know how to measure. What was the income for the last 3 months, for the last 6? You know, what's your overhead? Like, just really creating a budget
Right.
for people is just, for business people, it's just
Right.
something sometimes it's just really, really hard to do. And until you can outsource that to somebody else, even
Right.
when you can outsource
still
it,
need
you
to
still
understand
need
it.
to understand
Yeah.
your numbers.
Yep.
Exactly. So that
Otherwise,
is
you don't know
huge.
you've been taken advantage of.
Yes.
Of all that you've seen, all that you've done, what would be the one thing you want us to start doing and the one thing you want us to stop doing?
As it relates to
Business, professional growth, any area in which you would come in and provide coaching services.
I would definitely want people to start investing in their personal development a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Your personal growth is what makes your business, your financial growth sustainable, right? So you constantly want to be growing and enlarging and expanding your own capacity,
Right.
questioning why you believe what you thought you believe. Like, what I believed 6 months ago is probably very different than what I believe now, because I'm always like pushing the envelope on my beliefs and questioning my belief system, and it's how I grow.
Right.
And a lot of times we get very stuck and rigid in our mindsets and what it is that we believe, and we don't grow.
Right.
So I would say just really investing in your growth. 20 minutes a day you can read, Audible, just something that you can invest in your personal growth.
Right.
From material that is other than what you currently believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I would definitely say that, being committed to your own growth. And it's actually the best gift you can give to people you're in relationship with, to your children, to your significant other. A constantly evolved version of you is the greatest gift that you can give somebody.
Right. Like
What would I want us to stop doing?
Mhm.
I would love for us to stop settling.
Mm.
And we've had, as Black people, culturally and in our families, socially, we have a lot of hardships. We have a lot of things that are just in front of us. But if you really think about it, just like things that affect us economically, regardless of what is, people might hate me for this, but regardless of what's happening in the global economy, in the national economy, we have our own personal economies anyway.
True.
So we can make choices, better choices within our, within the resources and with the lives that we have. And we don't just have to settle for mediocrity and for, I see so many, it almost like brings me to tears. Well, no, it does bring me to tears when I can see the potential in somebody and what's possible. And they just settle, either because they can't see it or because they don't believe that they can reach it. So I would definitely say stop settling, because it's not just about you. It's about the legacy. It's about people who are coming behind you. And especially if you are a parent, the greatest gift that you can give to your family and to those that are coming behind you is, you living out more and more of your potential, because that's what models for them that it's possible. Then they won't have to look to entertainers and rappers and celebrities as their role models when they have them in the house.
I like that.
So if we stop settling and we just change the culture of our own families, then how are we sending our children out into the world? So I would love for us to stop settling and just recreate just a different kind of legacy in our families. One that we're proud of.
Yeah, I like that.
And one that we're intentional about creating, and not just by default.
You got to be strategic. I'm with that. Well, at the end, we always hand the mic over to our guest and let you say whatever it is that you want to say to the people, including how they can follow you, how they can see what you got going on next, and how they can contact you. So tell them whatever's on your heart to tell them.
I know this might sound strange, and I've never been really big on followers.
Okay.
I like people that intentionally connect with me, because I'm intentional about building authentic relationships. So you can have 1 million followers and not be connected. So I'm very intentional about making connections. So if people want to connect with me, that's fine. I'm not opposed to followers. I'm just saying it's just like, followers like, and now what? Just be very intentional about creating relationships. Exactly. You can find me at mindsetstrategypartner.com. You can find me on LinkedIn at Leticia Desuze. You can find me on Instagram. Same thing, Dr. Leticia Desuze. So I threw the doctor in there on Instagram. I would just say that, there's a scripture that speaks about loving others as you love yourself. But a lot of times we leave off the as you love yourself part.
Yeah.
So investing in your own growth and your own personal development is the best way that you can show up for yourself. And then you have so much more to offer the world and to offer other people. I like to think of it as buffet versus the beggar.
Yeah.
You know, when you don't invest anything in yourself, you're kind of showing up in life like a beggar, and you're looking for outside resources and people to pour into you. But when you give to yourself first and you can love others as you love yourself, now you're the buffet, and you just, you know, you can just go through life and you constantly have something to invest into other people. So I take the buffet approach. I am my biggest investment of time, attention, energy, and resources because I know what it requires to do the work that I do.
Right.
So the only way that I can show up full is if I'm constantly replenishing myself. And I would just admonish people who are so used to giving of themselves to give to themselves first and foremost, and make yourself your top priority and investment.
I think that's cool. I think when you give out of yourself to others, you lose what it is that you need to sustain. But when you give to yourself first, you actually create more to then share with yourself and with others.
Correct. I'm a drink from the fire hose kind of person. So you will find me by water.
Yeah.
You will find me by things that never run out. Water, sun, nature, God. I'm attached to infinite resources because I need to constantly replenish myself.
I like that.
And if I put that requirement on people, then I'm going to come up short. So I find ways to replenish myself.
Cool. Well, Wild Black listeners, you know it. All of her information will be in the episode description, so you can find her there. The thing that I'll tell you in closing is I love when we can do these type episodes, because today's really not about being Black. It's about being better. What you'll find out is if you look out there and you look at the strongest among you, that all the ones who are strong and successful and profitable are doing so with help. No man is an island and no woman is either. They're not doing it on their own, even if they're not telling you where their help is coming from. We've talked about it before with professional help from the standpoint of mental illness or medicine or whatnot. Yeah. And this is just another cog in that wheel. We can't do any of this alone. So go out there and find the help that it is that you need to get from where you're going to where you want to be. That's all we got today. Peace.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.